So, did we finally have a decent episode of Vanderpump Rules this week? Better than last week, but maybe on the same level as episode one, their premiere episode. I'm not sure. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what exactly I feel is missing this season, but a lot of you have concurred with me in the comment section and on social media that the season is just feeling blah. And partially, I thought originally, was the fact that we knew everything. There's been so much coverage in regards to this story, in regards to Scandival, that nothing really is truly a surprise. But of course, this first episode starts off where it ended, and that is at Tom Sandoval's casting call for Friends. Before we get into any of that, guys, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget, you can take us on the go by downloading our podcast, Kempire, so you can hear live recaps like this and additional special episodes. Be sure to check out some of the things that you already missed this week. Before we get into any of that, let's get into Vanderpump Rules Season 11, Episode 3, but feels like Episode 12 at this point.
Baby, won't you listen to me? I got that flavor. I know you're dying to feed. I ain't no dancer, just got some hip in my feet. Now throw your hands up. Ooh, you bring the lighter. I got the fuse. You make a fire. I'll add the fuel. Follow my lead. Just watch the shoes. Gotta turn the heat up to get this cool.
Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. This is So Much More, where we cover some of your favorite reality TV shows, and I let you know my thoughts. I did take notes, but now part of me feels like I want to lean away from the notes, and I will say this was their best episode, because I'm thinking more about what it covered, and I think it's important that we have this conversation, which we will get into in just a second. All right, so at the top of this episode of Vanderpump Rules, we have Tom still at his birthday party. I completely forgot that we were at the birthday party. I didn't think that we were going to start from the birthday party, but apparently more stuff happened. Apparently James peed on Tom's bush outside. That don't even sound right. And of course, Schwartz has a conversation with Tom because he wants to unpack, Sandoval wants to unpack what just happened between him and James Kennedy. As you know, James Kennedy and Schwartz have been forging their friendship back, all right, this season at the very least. So Tom explains to him what went down between him and James's conversation, and Schwartz is sort of like, no, because he's bringing up Kristen, 10-year-old drama. He's bringing up that whole situation. Tom literally, and you know, everyone loves to call people narcissists nowadays, and we have no, including myself, have no, what's the word? We have no clinical background to label someone a narcissist, but it's feeling very narcissistic. His behavior, and honestly, I'm worried for Schwartz, because Schwartz seems like the person that would be friends with a narcissist and be manipulated by a narcissist. All right. However, Schwartz tells him, like, you should not be bringing this up. You've got to figure out a way to be able to navigate this group, because that's not going to be the first time that someone in this group is going to challenge you and come at you. You know what I mean? I'm using their terminology because that's the only way that they'll understand. So bringing up Kristen was not the right road, and Schwartz reminds him of that. So they had their little conversation. We're still at the birthday party. We do have this moment with Billy Lee and Tom and them just talking about what's been going on in the group. And Tom says that he feels bad because the people that are associated with him, like Billy Lee and some of the other folks that are there, they're getting death threats, they're getting transphobic comments and things like that. And I remember specifically when Billy Lee was photographed with Tom, she was getting a lot of hate. Here's the thing. I said this before, I'll say it again. None of that stuff should be happening. Death threats, any of that stuff, that's disgusting. However, we also pointed out when, I forgot who it was on. Was it Lala? And I think he asked all of them the question when they were on Watch What Happens Live. You know, what's your thought on the mob mentality that's happening right now in regards to Scandival? None of them denounced it. And until it started turning on them. When Scheana was photographed next to Tom Sandoval, she got a lot of backlash. When Lala was giving grace to Tom Sandoval, she was getting backlash. Here's the thing. I wouldn't pay attention to what social media is saying because at the end of the day, these are your friends, if they're really your friends. You think someone in the comment section is going to tell me who I can be friends and not friends with? I can also tell my friends, I don't like what you did to my girl Ariana. But at the same time, but you're still my friend. We've been through a lot of stuff. I'm not just going to, throw you away. But it feels like this group has thrown Tom away. Should they have thrown him away? Look, that depends on their level of friendship and who they choose they want to be friends with. But Ariana has drawn a line in the sand. If you're going to be friends with me, you can't be friends with him, which I think is ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous because I think you can navigate having both friends, meaning that you can't film together necessarily. We have to keep in mind, that's what Ariana is saying. She's not saying that you can't be friends with him. She's saying, I'm not going to film with him. You invite me to something where he's going to be, I'm not going to be. Which I understand. She has every right. All right. But it is leaning into that territory of what we were talking about, Real Housewives of Potomac, people refusing to film with other people. But here's the conundrum with this particular situation. The cheatation of the situation is so bad that I'm sort of like, I don't blame Ariana for not wanting to be in his presence. But the sticky situation here is that you're filming a reality show. And like I said about Giselle, and I said it to Dr. Wendy, well, if you don't have to film with him, but maybe it's time for you to get off the show. And let's be real, Ariana is not that interesting or entertaining. What has Ariana offered us this season besides what we're talking about in regards to the scandal of it all? And I'm not saying that Tom is that more interesting. He's more interesting than Ariana because of the narcissistic behavior. It's almost like a plane crash, not a plane crash. What do they call it? Like a train crash or something like. It's like a car crash. You have when you're driving by one, you have to look. You know what I mean? So that's what makes Tom a little bit more interesting. But honestly, Ariana's not interesting at all. Without this storyline, what else is going on for Ariana? The business is not businessing. It's not happening right now. And even if it was, how interesting would that be? Or more like it, how interesting would Ariana make it be? Because I was telling you guys on Tuesday Takeover, I was watching Bethany is getting married and she was doing her business. Some people are just good personalities for things like that. Kimora Lee. I didn't care about her personal life. I loved watching her run her business. I don't think Ariana would be that interesting running her business. I don't think anything that Ariana does is interesting. I'm here to say it because no one else will, because apparently she's the patron saint of scorned women. That's Schwartz told you that. Do I feel bad for her? Of course. Go back and check the other recaps. This is how every week is going to be different. But I'm giving you the reality of the other side of this. I do feel for her, and I do feel like why she's reacting the way she's reacting is because of what played out. Sidebar, I did hear quickly, I can't remember every single detail of what Rachel was saying on her podcast. Thank God the audio that I was listening to was fast forward. That way I didn't have to listen to the drawn out vocal fry of it all. But basically what we're seeing in this episode, she is saying that she had blocked Tom and cut him off because he was encouraging her to leave the rehab facility that she was staying at. And she was like, I don't want to leave. I need to be here. And he was like, no, you don't. Allegedly. This is according to her. And she says that's when she decided to cut all ties with him. And as we see in this episode, he hasn't heard from her. He wants to be in communication with her. Some people speculate that what he was trying to do was to have her film with him for the reality show. And maybe he was listening to his producers. Maybe the producers were trying. I think the producers were trying to get Raquel for this season. I think they were trying to get her. And I'm sure they probably offered her a pretty penny too. So for Raquel to walk away says a lot. Because I'm sure they offered her, maybe not what she wanted, but I'm sure they offered her a pretty penny. And for her to walk away from that, and yes, look, she's doing a podcast, but all of them are doing podcasts at this point. They talk a lot about the podcast in this episode. Let me move on, because I've digressed a lot. Guys, if you're just joining us, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget you can listen to this on the Kempire Podcast, on Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify. Today's live recap is sponsored by our friends over at BetterHelp. I think this sponsorship is important, especially for this particular episode, because they talk about Tom's dark thoughts in this episode, which made me feel for him a little bit more this week, and maybe that's why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling towards Tom. I'm not feeling as like, oh my gosh. But I told you guys personally, I've used BetterHelp. The other day, I literally had said on social media that to me, I was ready to write a tweet and express my feelings, and I was like, you know what? Instead, I'm going to make an appointment with my licensed therapist at BetterHelp. So I'm so excited that BetterHelp has partnered with us to sponsor today's live show, and it's easy. So if you've been thinking about starting therapy, why not give BetterHelp a try? It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. And guess what? If it doesn't work out with that therapist, you don't like the therapist for whatever reason, you can switch your therapist at any time and at no additional cost. All right? So become your own soulmate, whether you are looking for one or not. Visit betterhelp.com/Kempire today to get 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kempire. More information on BetterHelp will be available in the description of this video or audio if you're listening to this. All right. Thank you, BetterHelp, for sponsoring today. Because like I said, I feel like this is so critical when we talk about dark thoughts, like they mentioned in this episode. I can't really say the word here on, YouTube and other platforms because of community guidelines, but you watched the episode, so you're familiar. All right. So after James leaves Tom's place, he goes to meet up with the girls, Ariana, Katie, Scheana and Lala at this emo event. Okay, so of course James is, like, oh, I just saw Tom and blah, 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 blah. And he felt like Tom inviting him to the birthday was I forgot his exact words. But basically, he said it was very calculated, inviting him to have their very first conversation at his birthday party. And honestly, I didn't think about that until he said it. I was like, well, you know what? That is pretty calculated, because are you really going to be mad at someone at their birthday party on their birthday? It's pretty calculated. But sometimes it takes one to know one, James. I mean, you've been accused of plenty of things. Sidebar, Scheana said that, she never wanted to be a pop star. She really wanted to be more like a Gwen Stefani or someone like that. And I'm thinking to myself, girl, you're not either one. At least those folks can sing. So she's done the emo version of Good as Gold. All right. I don't care. I didn't care about the scene. I didn't care about any of it. There's so many little scenes, and I've been saying this since episode 1. It's only episode 3. I feel like we have a scene, it flashes. Another scene, it flashes. I mean, there's quite a few. We had longer scenes this episode, but I don't know. So Katie and Ariana, they're getting their IVs the next day. Anne is there. Apparently Anne, Tom's former assistant at this point, is now working for Ariana. Weird, but good for her. So she's there cleaning. They ask her, do you get paid extra for this? And she's like, no. as she should. You better call someone about that. Well, at this point, she's quit working for Tom. Honestly, Tom, you should have treated Anna better. Because here's the thing, or Ann better. Because clearly, it was a precarious situation. You probably were not the best boss, and that's why she went to. Because it'd be different if Ann left both of you. Like, this situation is difficult. But she didn't leave the house. She left you. So it says to me that you weren't the greatest of bosses. Or maybe you didn't pay it well. Either way, it does make you a great boss. All right. Anyways. So Katie says that she's going to have a conversation with Scheana. And both Ariana and Katie believe that Scheana has a soft spot for Schwartz, and because Scheana has that soft spot for people, they're afraid that she's going to allow people like Sandoval and Schwartz to come around when they don't want them around. Okay, I mean, you're filming a reality show, guys. At this point, it's like, is it really that deep? Either just don't. I get it. I get why Ariana does not want to film with Tom, but at the same time, you're filming a reality show. Your show is already. Yes, last year you did extremely well, but the year before, it was already on its way out. Your own executive producer says that they were concerned that they were going to be canceled before Scandal. All right, so Lisa Vanderpump is at the Pump restaurant. As you know, it has now closed. She still wants us to believe that she's leaving because of the raised rent. Okay, the landlord said they did not raise the rent, but all right. Obviously, for some reason, she did not like the terms of whatever new rent or new lease that they were coming up with. All right. So Tom Sandoval and Lisa have a conversation. And one of the things that Lisa says, because, Lisa's always defending the men, but she does say to him that, why don't you just leave the house? Why not do the gentleman thing and leave the house and let Ariana live there until you guys sell it or something? And Tom does not want to sell the house. He wants to be able to stay in the house. He says that he had his real estate agent speak to Ariana and give her a letter of intent. All right. This situation is so deep in regards to their legal situation. We did talk about how Ariana's not suing him technically. He talked about this on the Files. But he says that he offered her like over $3 million to buy her out of the house, and she does not want that. I don't know at this point, because at this point, either you guys want to be around each other or you should just sell it. Because yes, you put a lot of love and blah, blah, blah into the house, but I'm sure if you sell it, you both are going to make a profit. Because you're holding on to the toxicity. But that's their level of immaturity. Because a mature person would be like, you know what? I wanted the house. You don't want the house. Or you don't want my offer for the house. I'm tired of this back and forth. I'm tired of us living like this. So you know what? Let's just put it up for sale and then we'll split what we get. Because it's just not worth it. I'll buy me a new place. Honestly, I wouldn't want to stay in that place if I was Ariana. I get why he has no conscience. He's a narcissist. He feels like he could stay in there regardless. He put a lot of love into that place, including love making. Anyways. So Tom says he wants the home. Like I said before, he says that he's also mad with Scheana because Scheana reached out to him after his best friend had died. And he didn't like what Scheana was doing on her podcast in regards to this whole situation. It goes back to what I said. A lot of these folks have podcasts and they were all trying to, look, I'm not going to be mad at them. A business person, they're on a show. People were interested. They made a ton of money. The Send It to Daryl, I should have put that on. The Send It to Daryl sweatshirts and t-shirts helped her get a coin, Lala get a coin for her to put a down payment on a home. Like all of them benefited. Honestly, they would have been dumb not to, because they're probably not going to see that level of money this year or ever again. So at least Lala can say, you know what? I have a home now. For me, that's smart. You know what I mean? And that's opened up other opportunities because those numbers on those podcasts, those numbers in regards to sponsorships, that opens up for more sponsorships. So I'm not going to be mad at them doing business stuff. But I get where Tom is sort of like, I don't know how genuine you are, Scheana, with all the things that you're saying on your podcast. So some of the things that she was being said on the podcast, she had Nima. Remember Nima from Shots to Sunset? I had to think about it. I was like, wait, why does that name sound familiar? She's talking about Nima. So apparently Nima and Raquel had dated. All right. So Nima says that that's where the whole conversation about open relationship between Ariana and Tom came up. But also some of the things that Nima said about his relationship with Rachel. Something to the effect of like she begged him to sleep with her or something like that. I'm trying, like, I remember Nemo on the show and he was sort of like this ladies' man, but I just don't. Do we think that Nemo would have lied? It feels like so long ago since I watching Shahs of Sunset. Part of me feels like he's not lying, but I didn't hear their podcast, so I would have a better sense based on how he said it. You know what I mean? So Tom says that he's upset about that, and he says that Rachel was also upset about it. All right? And this is where it leads to, because he gets very frustrated with Lisa. I'm so surprised at the way that he talks with Lisa, but Lisa, you've allowed this. And he says that, he's been having dark thoughts. I'm just going to label them dark thoughts. And as you know, Lisa lost her brother to a similar situation. And she told Tom, she's like, if you ever feel like that, I need you to reach out to me. So she's like, you lied. You did not reach out to me. You broke your promise. So she says she's very concerned about Tom. And honestly, in that moment, this whole show shifted for me. Because I do believe Tom. I know some people are like, oh no, it's not true. He's just saying it. No, I believe it, because some of you are horrible on social media. Especially with this Scandal situation, some of you are still very much horrible. You can be like, you know what, Tom, you're a liar, blah, blah, blah. But some of you will go in his DMs. Some of you will go to his shows. Some of you will go in his comment section and say these things. You can say these things to your friends. You can say these things under your favorite blog. You don't need to say it to him. You don't need to tag him. A lot of you will do that. I don't know what you're getting from doing that, because in real life, none of y'all have that same energy. Let's be honest. I mean, some of you for Tom probably have given that same energy, but most of you don't. Most of you are big finger warriors, keyboard warriors, and don't have that same energy in person. But I fell for him here because I do believe him, because I see how disgusting people can be on social media. Death threats and things like that. Like, come on. You don't have to like Tom, and you don't have to like what he did to Ariana, and you can uplift Ariana without being disgusting to someone else. Because to be honest with you, putting reality TV to the side, putting entertainment to the side, what you put out into the world, what you write down and put, and the energy that you send towards someone else, is not hurting. Yes, it's hurting him emotionally because he's reading those things. However, you're really hurting yourself. So be mindful the next time you decide to go write something disgusting to someone on social media. And like I said, you can have your opinions. We can joke, we can laugh, but the death threats and the threatening and being in people's comments or DMs with this stuff, it's like, and just because someone wants to be Tom's friend doesn't mean you have a right to be like, you're disgusting, you're blah, blah, blah. You could do that at home. That's kitchen table talk. You have that conversation with your friends and family at your kitchen table. Speaking of kitchen table talk, DC, are you ready for some kitchen table talk this Friday? So excited for our sold out show at Union Stage this week. Can't wait to be down there in DC. March 7th, I will be in Philly, so be sure to get your tickets for our City Winery in Philly. We just let you guys know as well. City Winery will be in Boston. I believe that's May 30th. And then Atlanta, we're coming to Atlanta on July 12th. We will be announcing more dates in the coming days. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for that. More details will be on my social media. So be sure to check those out. All right. Moving along. All right. So he talked about that with Lisa Vanderpump. I'm not going to even talk about what happened with Lala and Ariana shopping. They're talking about James's drinking. Scheana and Katie have a conversation. I thought this might be a more interesting conversation. Scheana does apologize for inviting Schwartz to her emo event. They're working on their relationship. I never thought that their relationship was that close. I did a little marathon of watching the older seasons of Vanderpump Rules. I never thought that their relationship was truly genuine. I felt like Scheana has always had that pick-me energy. Scheana has always tried to be friends with Stassi and Katie. So I felt like that's what it's always been. I think for the sake of the show, they developed a cordial, civil friendship. I never thought that the friendship was that deep. I never did. But maybe I'm wrong. Live chat, replay crew. What did you think? Just saying. All right, moving from there, Schwartz goes to Vanderpump Dogs and has a conversation. And we find out a little bit more about Schwartz's brother and his struggles with alcohol. And he was talking about how his brother is in the hospital. They had to rush him to the hospital because I believe he has like cirrhosis of the liver. So one of the things that Lisa Vanderpump says in this conversation, and this is why people get on Lisa about how she defends the men. She says she feels like the punishment doesn't fit the crime when she asks Schwartz about Schwartz and Sandy, because they're talking about the backlash that, Tom Sandoval's friends and businesses have received. Probably Tom has received some backlash as well. So she's probably speaking personally as well. All right. So she mentions, to Schwartz that we need to be active in checking in on Sandoval because he's having these dark thoughts. And she relates it back to her own brother who she lost. And she's like, she remembers hearing him say similar things. And she, there's always regrets about losing someone that way. All right. So she suggests, of course, LVP, she's going to use this platform because she's no dummy. All right. Millions of people are still watching the show. She's opening up another restaurant, Wolf, in Lake Tahoe. So she's promoting that, and she wants the entire group to go down to Lake Tahoe. She's like, why don't you get the gang together and we can go to Lake Tahoe so I can promote my business. Yes, I mean, it's smart. And of course, you're going to bring the cameras. All right, and this is one way to get the group together. All right, so let's get to see you next Tuesday. See you next Tuesday. The entire group ends up showing up, including Tom Sandoval. He doesn't sit with them. He comes there with Kyle Chan. Only reason why I remember that is because Scheana mentioned his name. I was like, why are we saying this man's full government right now? But okay. So Schwartz is sitting down with the group. This is before Ariana even gets there. And he's talking about how he's sober curious right now. He tells James, he later tells James once the other people come back, he walks away and he goes to see James and tells James that he's planning this trip because, Lisa mentioned that he can come down. You should invite the group. And he says he's going to invite everyone, including Tom Sandoval. All right. Sandoval, as I said to you before, arrives a little bit after the group and sits, he sees everyone. And he even sees one of the servers there, and the server expresses the backlash that he's been receiving since being friends with Tom. And that's part of the reason. I think he blocked Tom or unfollowed Tom, one of them. And Tom gives him a sincere apology. He took it very sincerely, and they hug it out. And Kyle's like, how many times do you have to do this? In regards to, he's probably having to do this to all of the servers at these restaurants that he's worked with. All right. Tom says that all these podcasts that have been coming out, like Scheana's podcast, was just really bad timing after losing his friend. Part of the reason why he found it disingenuous, Scheana reaching out to him. All right. Schwartz then goes back to the group to invite the group to this Lake Tahoe trip. And he says that I'm going to include Sandoval. Ariana's just like, well, I won't be going. And everyone's like, why are you inviting Sandoval? Because you're filming a reality show, but he can't say that. All right. Well, Lala warns Schwartz about being friends with Tom. She warns him. And then Ariana says that you're a lost cause. She says she gave up on him a long time ago. And to be honest with you, look, like I said to you before, I feel for Ariana for the way that things have gone down in this relationship. However, I was here for Schwartz, just giving it back to Ariana. And I know some people are going to say, well, he gets this energy for women. He doesn't have that same energy for men. Well, points, but I feel like someone needed to say it because I feel like everyone has allowed Ariana to dictate who can be friends with Tom. I think you can still be a good friend to Ariana and call Tom out on his BS. You know what I mean? Unless you really do not want to be friends with Tom because you just don't trust him. Okay? But I like the fact that Schwartz was just like, who made you the head girl of the group? You're not the head. Look, you're not the head girl of the group. But the group seemed to be in the consensus, like, yeah, we don't rock with Tom. So they're probably what they're going to do on this trip. They're going to go on this trip. They're going to promote this restaurant, and then they're going to probably be in separate places. So Ariana and Katie and maybe Scheana and them will be in Lala will be in another place, and the guys will be in well, I don't know if the guys will be, because the guys don't. James doesn't rock with Tom, so Tom's the Sandoval. So I don't know. I just felt for Schwartz when Ariana was just sort of like, you're a lost cause. Honestly, of all of the people in this group, I would not think that Schwartz would give up his friendship with Tom Sandoval. They're best friends. If he's going to choose anyone in this relationship, he's going to choose his best friend, even if he thinks his best friend is wrong. And it's not just his best friend, it's his business partner. And what we've seen of Schwartz this season, he's really been calling Tom out. Like, yo, that's not cool. What's going on with the business is not cool. We wish you would do more. We're seeing a different side of Schwartz this season. All right? So I was here for Tom's energy towards Ariana because I just didn't like how Ariana spoke to him. Because she really, I think because so many people talk down to Schwartz, she was just like, I'm going to do it too. And she's like, you're a lost cause. I'm like, to be honest with you, do I really believe that Tom Schwartz is going to give up his friendship with his best friend for a friendship with you, Ariana? No. Yes, Tom Sandoval was wrong, but I don't see giving up a friendship with my best friend for you. What do you guys think? Am I crazy? Look, or am I dealing in reality and they're not? I'm not dealing in the world of Vanderpump Rules. Maybe. So Tom and Scheana see each other as she's walking by to go to the bathroom, and she refuses to have a conversation with him there because it'd be in public. So all the fans and people that are there are going to see it. She knows what she's doing. So they end up going to the infamous back of Sir, and they have this conversation. And she says the problem with Tom is that he's not showing any remorse. And she refers to him as a narcissist. All right. And she says, I can't believe that you wouldn't think, after knowing me for so long, that me reaching out was genuine. Honestly, I don't blame Tom, because if he didn't point out the whole podcast part of it and what she was saying on the podcast, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot there were so many of the people on this cast with all kinds of outtakes. A lot of you kept up with that stuff. I did not. I was just sort of like, I'm so tired of these people. They vocal fry and their wannabe Hollywood mess and their podcast because everybody's scandal. I was like, I'm not listening to any of that crap. That's why I feel like you guys probably are even more bored now this season than I am, because you really were invested into all of it. And nothing's wrong with that, but I'm just like, I shut them out. Anyways, so this conversation between Tom and Scheana gets heated very quickly. Because when she refers to him as being a narcissist or having narcissistic behavior, he then tries to take a shot at Lala, and that makes Scheana want to get up and get out of there. However, I did find this interesting that Tom says that in the entire group, Ariana has been the least vindictive. And you would think that she would be the most vindictive. And to be honest with you, I was like, well, you know what? You're right. I mean, she spoke her truth in how she felt, but she hasn't done anything. She hasn't gone on podcasts to just dog him out. She hasn't spoken to other people to dog him out. I have to say, she really has been better in regards to the rest of this group. But usually that's how Ariana is. But everyone else, every single person, you saw that reunion. You saw how they've been on podcasts. Everybody wants a moment. Everyone wanted a moment from this cast, but I'm not surprised when you think about the people that are cast for this show. These were wannabe models and actors and people that came to Hollywood to be famous. And this is their opportunity to be on reality TV. It's a hit show. Now they're like, oh, I need to take everything that I can for my 15 seconds of fame. So this conversation between Scheana and Tom doesn't end well. But Scheana does mention in her confessional that Tom needs to stop mentioning Schwartz and Raquel in his songs, and maybe that will help the group. Tom has a new girlfriend. I saw a video of him making out with his girlfriend during one of his live performances. Word on the street, that's not a real relationship. Did you just have to have some sort of relationship, Tom? Here's the thing. I couldn't be friends with Tom. I don't think anyone should be friends with Tom. I know. You're like, Kempire, you just said that. I just don't know how you can be really, truly genuine friends with a narcissist. I mean, it's possible. Some of you are friends with narcissists and don't even realize it. Sorry. So Scheana and Tom, that conversation does not end well. Not surprised, but I do see the rest of the group coming around, at least in a way that they can all film together. And I think that's what it is. I don't think any of these folks are really, truly friends. There are maybe a handful of people that are truly friends. I think like Ariana and Katie and, Tom and Tom. I think those are real friendships. But other than that, I think everybody's trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. And I can't be mad at them. That's what they went to Hollywood for. And now they have their moment. Congrats, I guess. Guys, as always, I want to know your thoughts on the latest episode of Vanderpump Rules. How would you rate it from 1 to 10? I thought this episode was better, so I'm going to give it a 7, just because of the conversation about those dark thoughts, especially with our sponsor today. For more information on how you can get 10% off of your first month at BetterHelp, head on over to betterhelp.com/Kempire. More information will be available in the description. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to our King's Guards. Thank you to our subscribers. Thank you to our channel members. To become a member of the channel, head on over to TheKempire.com/join. Guys, continue to let me know your thoughts in the comments section, replay crew, and let me know how you would rate this week's episode of Vanderpump Rules. I'm going to get out of here. I will see you all in the next one. Don't forget, live versions of our podcast will be available on the podcast, Kempire, on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Thank you all for being here. I will see you guys later.